Hey, Podnutsians. Welcome to DDG number 26. I am DoorToDoorGeek, owner operator of Podnutz.com. I'm going to start on a sober note after opening a beverage of the evening. Um, we did have a 24-hour live stream to try to help support Eric Ardini in basically every shape, way, or form that we could possibly imagine, is the way that I put it. Eric was first and foremost, I think, a family man from everything I can gather. But second most important to me, because I'm selfish, is he was a Podnutsian. He was a great helper to the network. He was a great friend of mine, I consider. He went to more than a couple conferences just because I said I thought they were cool conferences to go to. Uh, I spent a great deal of time with him, maybe more personal, hands-on time than anybody else on the network. And he passed away on April 5th, first thing in the morning, basically. Um, the 24-hour live stream was my way to try to uphold his spirit. Is the only way it's one of those things. It's honestly really hard to put into words. But what I can say is that we did raise more money for him. Right now, as of April 23rd, 11:22 at night, he's up to $11,153. As soon as I get my next Patreon bump, which will be in about a week from now, exactly a week from now, I'm going to put a little bit more money towards that because I should, is what I'll say. Um, I've kind of always tried to say Podnutz is a network for normal users by normal users. But at the same token, Podnutz, you should always support those who support you. Period. Um, Eric supported Podnutz pretty ridiculously. He went over above and beyond most people's level of support. Um, I say that, and I know that I've kind of went overboard with support because so much so that Steve decided to sell the network to me. That's how much I supported it. But Eric went out of his way and he tried to help everybody. He tried to support everybody. I've since heard basically what I would consider to be testimonials from other people on the network who said out of the blue he got a they got an email from Eric saying like, welcome to the network, I've listened to your show, I think it's pretty cool, keep up the good work. And that's the kind of thing that I never encouraged him to do, and it turns out I never had to encourage him to do because he was Eric Ardini. That's just what he did. um if you go to podnuts.com/support Eric, you can still support him. The campaign is still in a trending status. My main goal is to keep it in the trending status just so it's more likely we might get random people stop by and help his family. Because right now, the real goal is to help his family through the transition of life post Eric, life without Eric. Even saying that, it is incredibly hard for me to even say. I will say it's been now roughly 20 days, like 18 days, and I don't want to say it's became easier for me to say, but I say such a thing with less likelihood of breaking down. Um, I'm never going to stop doing everything in my power to help support Eric and his family, um, because he would have never stopped doing the same for me. Right now in the live YouTube chat, hey, Charles, good to hear from you. Always good. Thank you for stopping by. For some reason, I had caps lock on. I blame some sort of medieval behavioral tactic for me to do such a thing. Um, I'll just ask people, if you can this month, skip this Starbucks coffee, skip the night out and the movie, and just go to the movie or just the dinner, and then, if you can donate 5 or $10 to Eric's Go Fund Me. If you go to podnutz.com, it'll be very easy for you to do. Okay. Um, Besides that, I will say I've been at least a little bit busy. I've been a little bit preoccupied. And a lot of it has been with just family stuff, trying to keep care of the family, trying to keep the wife happy, trying to keep the kids in line, trying to keep the kids educated, trying to keep the kids understanding is the way that I'll put it. It's not been easy, but what in life is, and I can't tell anybody that I know anything in life that is easy. Um, I will say had a decent holiday weekend. Um, Went over to my sister-in-law's house for Easter dinner. Me and my wife are not religious whatsoever, but we have no problem in celebrating those kinds of holidays just because the greater family wants to celebrate those holidays. And that's one of the things that I think me and my wife both agree on. It's being respectful to other people and other family members when they are religious. So we went over, we had a good time, chatted with them, talked with them. Kids went swimming for hours and hours, and I could not believe they did not like pass out at like 8 o'clock, but apparently they were up to around 2 a.m. Over at their house having a good time. Um, and I will say on Easter Day was maybe the most carbohydrates I've eaten in 2.5 years, maybe almost 2.5 years is what I'll say. And all I had was a biscuit, a little spoonful of mashed potatoes, and a little spoonful of sweet potatoes. And that was maybe the most carbohydrates I've eaten in at least two years, closer to 2.5 years. Um, and it might have equated to 80 or 100 total carbohydrates for the day. I did have a question from Kevin McLaughlin, aka Sir Kevin McLaughlin, aka um, man, one of the nicest McLaughlins I have yet to meet is the way that I'll put it. Unbelievably nice guy, unbelievably supportive guy, goes out of his way to support a great number of podcasts as far as I can tell. And he's just supportive of people doing their best trying to make content. Um, he did ask me to give a rundown of diet, and what I will say is on this more impromptu episode, I will give a verbal rundown. In a next episode, I'll try to give an actual like spreadsheet rundown. But essentially, what I eat during the entire day consists of a uh, Atkins drink, which is like a chocolate or dark chocolate drink, which is typically around 2 grams of sugars. And that's maybe the heaviest thing in my diet that I consider right there. 2 grams of sugars first thing in the morning with one of those drinks. After that, I have 2 eggs, hard boiled eggs, sometimes 3 hard boiled eggs. After that, anywhere from 4 to maybe 7 pieces of cheese, and one of the things he asked was, "What kind of cheese?" And I'll state, it almost doesn't matter. Cheese is more salty and fatty than anything else. To find the cheese with actual carbohydrates and sugar in it, to me, seems to be hard to do. Most of the time, I eat American cheese, occasionally Swiss cheese, sometimes cheddar cheese, sometimes provolone cheese, sometimes Munster cheese, and sometimes a cheese called New Yorker cheese. I don't think it's a real cheese. I think it's a blend of cheddar and something else. Uh, and that's what I eat for the first half of the day. Sometimes I have brown and serve breakfast sausages. A and there are typically 4 of those sausages, which consist they consider to be like 1 serving. They're typically less than 10 grams of carbs, and I wanna say less than 2 grams of sugars in them. Uh, After that, I basically don't eat anything. I might drink a couple Monster Zero Ultras. Monster Zero Ultras have 0 calories, 0 sugars, and I wanna say 2 or maybe 4 grams of carbs, per can. I will say there was a time in my life, like maybe 2, 3 months ago, I was drinking upwards of 5 cans of Monster a day, and it's because I attest, um, ADD or what used to be called ADHD was assisted to be more normal with more stimulus, and caffeine is definitely a stimulus, so I was trying to consume a great number of that during the day, and I believe it did help me become more normal, more regular, more organized, more productive. Um, Lately, I've been trying to cut my consumption down to below 2 cans a day. In the last couple weeks, it's been about a can and 3 quarters a day average. So most days I have 2 cans, some days I have 1 cans. And then for dinner, most nights I completely skip dinner. I don't have anything to eat for dinner. It makes the wife inoperably upset is what I will say, when I do not have anything to eat for dinner. Um, I cook for her. I'll cook chicken breast, I'll cook steak, I'll cook pork chops, I'll cook, uh, e um, Italian sausages, I'll cook peppers and onions, I'll cook broccoli, I'll cook, asparagus, I'll cook whatever, you know what I mean? As long as she's happy, happy wife, happy life, I do believe is a actual way to some level of happiness. I will say I do believe to at least some degree, I try to remain selfless, not selfish. Um, and when my kids are happy, when my wife is happy, I'm happier. Um, I don't try to really go out of my way to make myself happy, but it seems like when I make them happy, I am at least moderately happier, is what I'll say. Um, so for dinner, I might have a third, o- um, hard-boiled egg. I might have 1 or 2 more pieces of cheese, or and I might have a tablespoon, a huge heaping tablespoon of creamy peanut butter. The huge heaping tablespoon of peanut butter, from what I can gather, at the most would have 3 grams of sugar in it at most, and that's basically everything I could possibly consume in a day. I will say the day when Eric told me he was terminal, which was about now 10 weeks ago, 11 weeks ago, up to about, you know, 11 weeks ago to about 7 weeks ago or so, I was consuming a quite large amount of alcoholic beverages, mainly beer, mainly Yingling, because the sugars are next to nothing, the carbs are low, I wanna say they're 10 carbs or so, but in that time frame of about 7 weeks, there's no doubt I consumed at least 10 cases of beer is what I'll say, to be very honest. Um, and part of it was I know that Eric was dealing with a lot of pain, so I'm gonna do my own, regimen of trying to deal with pain. And because I'm Irish, it ended up being beer. And since Guinness is so damn expensive, I went with a lesser price alternative. I'll also say, uh, Mark Cockrell from Element Opie, Geek Rant, also did offer me a press pass for a Red Hat conference being held in Boston, Massachusetts around May the 3rd. Is I wanna say. I really wish I could have went there. I really wish I could have did it because, Boston is to me a general fun town, generally nice people, and unbelievably well connected. The metro system in Boston makes it very easy to travel from place to place with very little issue, but it's not going to happen. There's no way I can make it up to Boston at that time. Um, I will say I also have tried to contact, Jonathan Nadeau, once or twice in the last couple weeks because if I was able to go up to the Boston area, he is definitely one of the people I wanted to contact. He is going through his own life issues, so he was not able to contact me back. The other person who I was gonna try to contact, if I was gonna be able to go up there was Bruce Patterson. Bruce Patterson is from the, Distro Watch podcast. If you do not subscribe to the Distro Watch podcast, I will ask you to please subscribe to Distro Watch. In any podcast player in 2019, there's no doubt you can just go and search for Distro Watch and you'll find the podcast. It is unbelievably easy to not know a URL, not know a web address, and yet find a podcast with really no work whatsoever. Uh, in fact, unbelievably easy. Podcasts seem to be more and more day by day separated from hard coded URLs. More and more and more and more with companies like Gimlet, with companies like NPR, with all these companies jumping into the mix. They're trying to make podcasts something different, almost as different as radio is from television, or television is from radio, I guess more appropriately. Um, I will say, I'm subscribed now to almost 150 podcasts. I've gotten rid of more than a couple in the last couple weeks. Uh, but no matter what podcast player I open, if I try to go to their top list or their suggested list, or I just go to like their comedy or their kids and family or whatever technology, what I'm seeing is a very corporate focused podcast. Whether it be WNYC Studios, Gimlet, NPR, or even Twit is I would classify as being more corporate than end user. Uh, there's a lot of them out there, and it's really becoming a little bit more difficult to find more normal people doing podcast. Um, let's give a quick suggestion on a podcast. And this one is definitely corporate driven. There's no doubt about it. But I will say I've gotten some really good information from it. It's called Tech Meme Ride Home by Ride Home Media. I don't even understand what the hell this guy's trying to do, is what I'll say. He's trying to make a name brand off of Ride Home Media. Tech Meme is one of them. He's also started one called, I want to say, Primary Ride Home, where he's trying to cover all the politics involved in the upcoming primary. And it's to a degree, I'll just say very honestly, I think it's comical for him to try to cover that because it's ridiculous the amount of changes and the amount of things. Right now, I believe there's 19 people involved in the Democratic side of that primary, which is insane. On Tech Meme, he basically tries to cover the tech headlines of the day. So this might be considered close to Tech News Today. I will say Tech News Today is the kind of show that I tried to listen to, I just can't listen to. I can't listen to at all. Tech Meme, so far I've been able to listen to. He seems pretty intelligent. He seems fairly knowledgeable. He seems a touch skeptical, not quite skeptical enough to me, but he does seem a little bit skeptical about certain things. Each show is about 20 minutes, if not less than 20 minutes. Maybe every episode has 3 minutes of total advertisements, which I will say I'm not a fan of advertisements whatsoever. I do believe anytime someone is giving advertisements, that just means that they're being mentally beholden to that advertiser, and now they're not able to speak honestly about that advertiser. Um, for instance, he does advertise the home meal delivery service things, whether it's HelloFresh or any of the other ones. There's like 3 or 4 of them. And he did cover a story in the last day or 2 where he did say studies show. Whenever someone says studies show, you as a consumer should instantaneously ask for references to this study and then look at the actual details of the study is what I will say. Because it's a study can say anything that the people preparing it wants to say. And I tried to find the study he was referencing, I couldn't find it. But he said the studies show that the meal delivery service actually have a lower carbon footprint than what you would get at the store. I find that incredibly improbable. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm actually right. I will say it's just my initial feeling is I really find it hard to believe that a mail delivery service, if you've never gotten it, you get like an 8-inch, at least 8 to 10-inch by 8 to 10-inch by 8 to 10-inch box filled with cooling solutions and tons of cardboard, tons of plastic, tons of everything delivered from a truck that might have had maybe, a quarter to 3/4 filled on it, maybe is lower carbon emission, the lower pollutant, lower toxins, lower trash, lower refuse than if I go drive to a store where the trailer was pretty damn full because it's a corporation and they can't ship underloaded trailers. It's not in their economic interest. Um, to fill a store with people and electricity and ground rent and everything else, that the amount of waste would be less from that 10 by 10-inch box than it would be for me to go to the store and get a week's worth of food and, cook a meal. Um, I'm not saying I'm right and they're wrong. I will say I find it improbable. I'm not saying it's impossible. I will say I find it very improbable that a on-demand meal delivery service is somehow able to use less of a carbon footprint, less resources, less everything, in my opinion, than just getting off your butt, going to the store, buying a week's worth of food because I'm not going there every day. I'm not going there for every meal. I'm just going there once a week. So right there, it's 5 times less of my use case versus the once a day meal plan. I did the meal plans for maybe a month, 2 months. I found them to be quite honest, lame, uninteresting, unimaginative, very repetitive, um, meals. And I'm not even what I consider to be a good cook or an adventurous cook. I'm a cook that finds things that he can know how to cook, and then I just cook. The wife likes pork chops with a little salt, a little pepper, a little seasonal, and then I cook a vegetable, and she's thrilled. Um, Chicken breast, yeah, I do a little razzle dazzle, cook it, and she's happy. I would be unbelievably shocked if those meal delivery services are at all comparable to just going to the store and buying stuff, unless they're much more hyper local. But I will say I have heard more than a couple of videos from YouTube that I watched in the last month that have said most times when your food comes from a far distant off place, it actually has the opportunity to use much less resources by the time it gets to my plate. And it's because it takes so much less resources for them to make it in that far off land and then have it traveled to me versus having people closer to me have to worry about local conditions and local um weather conditions, water conditions, and everything else, and then to have it produced completely local. The one thing I will say is it seems like whatever we assume to be an utter reality without insight is just an assumption. We as people have to remain skeptical without being cynical. I've also found there's been a great differential between the two. Um, Skeptical basically just means you require some evidence, you require some proof, you require something that you can measure yourself. Cynical, on the other hand, means you completely discount what someone is saying, even if they come from a trusted place, even if they come from a place that is known to have subject matter experts. Cynical means you just don't believe anything, aka you're a flat earther, or you believe that the government is trying to kill everybody, or you believe that there's some grand conspiracy to control everybody via minerals injected into your tap water. That's cynical. That's not skeptical. Skeptical means you just ask questions, and then if it agrees with you or disagrees with you, you accept the answer. I at least like to believe I'm skeptical and I'm not cynical. I'm not sure I am. I like to believe I am. Um, I will say, also, I've listened to a couple people now about economy and money, and it's almost fascinating how money gets created. It literally gets created out of whole cloth. Um, it doesn't make any sense, nor should it make any sense, but you gotta also remember nothing in this universe is under any obligation to make any sense. It doesn't make it less true if it doesn't make any sense. But the gist of it is if the in the United States, if the Federal Reserve injects $1,000 into the Federal Reserve, that $1,000 can end up being $100,000 worth of actual money in our system. I know it doesn't make any sense, but trust me when I tell you it doesn't have to make any sense. That's how money works in America. Um, if you want to make things that again don't make any more sense, it's the idea of microgravity and normal gravity and our universe. There's everywhere you look in the universe, there's things that a human can look at and state it doesn't make any sense. Whether it be a neutron star, whether it be the birth of a black hole, or whether it be a black hole literally like 30 times the size of our solar system. And here's the thing, to us mere humans, they shouldn't make any sense. We have been bred over generations and generations to understand how to sustain our life, not to understand how the cosmos exists. So when we look out into the stars and things confuse us, that's perfectly normal. That's the way it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to initially understand any of this. Thus, I find it incredibly amazing, um, almost divine like that we have been able to understand. We are able to understand how old our solar system is, how old our galaxy is, how old our sun is, how old our sun will be. how old the galaxy is, where things came from, how our solar system coalesced, how the planets began, where the moon came from, how the moon came to be. All these kinds of things that we as human beings should have no right in understanding, yet we do, gives me at least a little bit of faith in humanity. Uh, I will inject some other things into this. Hmm. And I will say to the audio listener, there is no breaks, there is no pauses, there is no nothing. And if you want to partake in these kind of things live as they happen, all you have to do is either subscribe to the YouTube stream, become a Patreon member, join the Discord, or ask to join the Mattermost server. They're all equally easy. It's just a question of what platform are you most comfortable on. Okay. We as a people have a very difficult time in rationalizing actual threats to our being. We as a humanity have a very easy time in over exaggerating things that aren't actual threats. And what I will say is that I did, and I'm not going to share a damn link with anybody because these are the kind of things you need to do for yourself. I did find a source where I was able to search news archives for the last 100 and maybe it was just under 100 years. It might have been 100, just over 100 years, where I could search the archives. And all I did was search the word crisis. And I searched for the word crisis and I looked back 100 years, 90 years, 80 years, 70 years, 60 years, 50 years. And I just kept looking at all the mentions of the word crisis. What I found was every single time, basically every single time somebody said the word crisis, it ended up not being a crisis. And what I'm gathering is that a lot of people are trying to do everything in their power to manipulate us to believe what they believe, to feel what they feel in order for some basically short term gain. Now, is the gain good or bad? Neither. It's a push. This is a Las Vegas push. They're not good or bad. They just are. Now, to the individual, I'm sure it's for the good. For the greater good in hindsight after time, it's a push. Sometimes it is for the greater good, sometimes it's not. I can never say if I was there at that point in time, I would be able to discern whether or not it was for the greater good. All I can say is that when anybody uses trigger words, when anybody uses these hypersensitive words like crisis, we have to be very careful. We have to use measured response, use critical thinking whenever we think that we could be getting taken advantage of, which will remind me once again. I will put a link in the notes. Crash course digital navigation. I literally cannot say this enough. I know I've said it in at least 2 or 3 episodes, but I've heard the same kind of ideals, the same kind of beliefs about how we as a people need to stop just believing headlines. We need to stop believing clickbait. We need to stop believing URLs. We need to stop believing shares that we're seeing in any network under any circumstance, whether it be an email from your uncle or a Facebook posting from somebody you work with. You can never just believe the article. You need to do what's called lateral searching. And all lateral searching basically means is if you're in a browser on a desktop or a laptop, you hit Control T and then you start your own investigation. If you're on a mobile phone, there's multiple ways to do it, but basically you start a new page up and you start your own searching on the topic that's mentioned in that link. And this is basically, as far as I can tell, the hallmark of what is called critical thinking. Critical thinking is one of the things that is not taught anywhere as far as I can tell. Critical thinking just basically means you don't by de facto believe what you are seeing, but you go out of that source and you try to validate it on your own. Critical thinking is basically a form of skepticism. All it means is I want to look for myself, I want to read for myself, I want to get validation for myself. It doesn't mean what you're finding is the truth, but what it means is you're at least finding other sources of of similar information. I've been trying to teach this to my kids, like obsessively. My kids are fantastic at ignoring everything I say is what I'll say, but I've tried to literally set rewards for them. If you go and try to find something out yourself, let's see what you can find. I'm not looking for them to find the truth because the truth is only the truth as I see it. Doesn't mean it's the truth. So I've been putting what I consider to be challenging topics in front of them and asking them to go out, find other people talking about this, and then tell me if you think if what they're saying is true, or do you think they're just trying to get clicks? Do you just think they're trying to get likes? Do you just think they're trying to get shares? Do you just think they're trying to get more juice is the way we would put it back in the 90s kind of thing. And I don't think there is a absolute right answer. What I can say is when my kids find something that I know is from a source that we both trust, I feel much, much better about what they find. Um, my oldest was able to sit through so far 3 quarters of the crash course series. Um, and I honestly believe he's now better off than 70% of the kids his age. From what I can gather, every kid right now, 14 years or younger, literally thinks YouTube is the internet. They don't understand Google. They don't understand websites. They don't understand domains. They don't understand these other sources of information. Um, Plenty of their teachers in school that are over 30 still talk ill about Wikipedia. Um, I'll just say it like this: nuclear is not good or bad. Gunpowder is not good or bad. Knives are not good or bad. Wikipedia is not good or bad. It matters how you use any of them. That's what determines if something is good or bad. What was the intent, how it is used, how it is proliferated, kind of thing. So I encourage my kids to go to Wikipedia. I give money to Wikipedia every year because I use them as a resource. I don't trust them as being the undeniable source of information. I use them as a stepping stone to further information, and they're a great first step. They are maybe the greatest first step when you're searching for knowledge than any other website I've ever witnessed in my life. And I really have no hesitation in saying that. I've been able to go to Wikipedia, search up a topic, find reference links to 20, 30, 40, 50 websites, and typically 3 or 4 websites deep. I have enough information that I'm completely satisfied in what I'm looking up, whether it be single board computers, whether it be Linux distros, whether it be about anti Semitic Linux distros, whether it be about anti Chinese rhetoric with Linux distros, or whether it be about misnomers about Finland being a diehard socialist republic, whether it be about people believing Canada having the greatest healthcare ever imagined. Um, I've been able to find what I consider to be hard details in Wikipedia that, for the most part, um, makes me wrong in my beliefs. There's few things in this life that I find more enjoyable than being proven wrong about something that I swore was absolutely accurate. Because every time I'm proven wrong, I believe then I'm better educated on a topic, whether it be how healthcare is in Singapore or the United States or Canada or the UK or Finland, or whether it be how money gets created out of thin air, or how e e, um, e economy is affected by tariffs or taxes, or whether it be very simple things about who was the last r- Romaine um, dictator. All these things can be found very easily on Wikipedia with source links going out to other parties. And to be honest, I find them very interesting, is what I'll say. The older I get, it seems like the more I'm willing to sit still and listen to somebody smarter than me describe things that I did not know were in existence. Um, I will say I've also had a lot of fun listening to religious debates, partially because I am not comfortable in stating that I know something as being an absolute fact without absolute evidence. Is the most PC way I think I can possibly put it. But I will say I've seen great debates online, with people getting very deep. Some of them very metaphysical, some of them very shallow. But either way, a lot of people posting a lot of great arguments that me as an individual, if I was on stage, I wouldn't know how to answer 99% of these things. But I'm really, I really feel like I'm being educated about life, existence, and all compared to everybody else. And I've watched more than a couple things from more than a couple people who were suffering from cancer. Um, thus bringing me back to Eric Ardenity. Um, I don't know what, if anything, could have been done in such a short amount of time. And that's one of the problems we have in, at least right now in 2019, about the word cancer. The word cancer isn't a single disease. It's actually a different possibility of, I want to say, over 120 different types of cancer. Now, if you want to get into specific types of cancer, it really is almost an infinitesimal. It's over 1,000 different types of unique cancer that can affect somebody. Um, it all comes to our classification system about, what do we call it. That doesn't mean that's exactly what it is, because there's always these little details separating all these different types of cancer. And the type of cancer he had was vicious, was violent. It the word is metastasized at an incredible rate of speed. Um, it would have taken what we consider today to be a marvel of modern medicine for him to even live, 6 or 8 months with what he had. Um, I don't know if it was because he didn't have the correct personnel available to him, he didn't have the correct resources available to him, or he was just, the wrong time of history for him to get what he got. Uh, but none of that's gonna change the fact that now he's no longer with us. Um, in a very selfish way, I know 99.99999% of the pain that I experienced, um, was a very selfish thing. How am I going to deal without Eric? How am I gonna feel without this good friend of mine? How am I going to hurt knowing that he felt pain? How am I going to feel knowing that he was only 45 years old? Um, I try to be selfless about these things, and then I get drawn into the, well, how does his wife feel? How do his sons feel? How do his wives feel? How do his coworkers feel? How do his sister feel? How do his other family feel? And it doesn't make me feel any better. Um, they say time heals all wounds. And I want to say it was Kung Fu Panda said, yeah, but it doesn't heal scars. Scars are around forever. Um, which is true. Time might heal wounds, but it ain't gonna heal a scar. Um, I hope, is what I'll say. I hope I never forget about Eric. I hope I never forget about Steve C. I hope I never forget about Sean Johnson. I hope I never forget about Jeff Houch. I hope I never forget about Paco LeBron. Hope I never forget about anybody who's helped me with Podnutz. I hope I never forget anybody who I consider to be a friend. Hope I never forget anybody who's been nice to me when they don't have to be. Guys like Eric. And and that's all I can do. Um, so I really do thank everyone for their support. I can't state it enough. I try to give back. That's my number one thing. I always tried to say support those who support you. Thus, I've always tried to support everybody who's given me any level of support. Any level of support. My goal is to give them back tenfold what they give to me. I want everybody to feel like they owed me because if I feel like I owed them, I'm not doing my job. I want to try to make sure I do over, above, and beyond. That's why I'm a government employee. It sure the hell ain't for the money because I can easily go and get a job paying more money. I'm there because I try to do what I consider to be best for everyone else involved. I don't know if this is going to be published live. DDG episode 26. Thanks for coming out, Charles. If you want to, again, come out live for any of these, I don't care what your request is. I don't care if you want me to talk about why Justin Bieber needs to stay in Canada. I don't care if you want me to talk about, you know, what's the difference between 2020 and 2016 presidential stuff. So I'm not going to talk politics. Or if you want me to talk about what's the latest, greatest game I think I've seen on a gaming platform, I'll talk about anything. Uh, Even if it's about Sri Lanka and the 300 and plus people who've died. A coworker literally immediately flew back there to be with his family because, this is unbelievable trying. My sister was in New York when 9/11 happened. I know many people that literally went back straight to New York to be with people because of pain and suffering that happens. Um, I also know people that went back to New Zealand after the shootings that happened there. Um, I really wish humans in general would just try to kill less humans in general. That's the kind of thing I have no idea what it would take. I have a suspicion, but I have no idea what it would take for people to kill people less. Um, there's a lot of things that I feel strongly over as a person. I don't know if I actually feel the necessity that I have to kill people over it. Which is why I'm happy I was never in any military service and given any opportunity to kill anybody. Um, I'm happy I don't know what it takes. I'm happy I believe I don't know why I would do such a thing. Um, I just gotta ask, the number one killer of white men in America from the ages of 18 to I want to say 45 is suicide. So first and foremost, I ask you, don't kill yourself. Can you do that? If you need help, don't hesitate. Mail at podnutz.com. We can get you in contact with suicide prevention help. But if you're not white, you're not a man, and you're not in the US, and you still feel any kind of negative thoughts like that, don't hesitate. Contact me. I'll be happy to get in contact with somebody else, and we can all help you through this together. Uh, or get in contact with anybody around you that you think that will help. Destructive thoughts aren't good for anybody, in any shape, way, or form. Um, we live in the greatest time of human existence. The most people in right now in the world, the highest percentage of people in the world right now are outside of the lines of poverty. And every day more of that percentage is out of poverty. Um, we need to encourage free trade. We need to encourage open, I don't want to say open borders, but opener borders than the norm would, I think, help everybody involved. Um, we all have plenty of money, plenty of resources, plenty of food, plenty of jobs, plenty of everything to help everybody on this planet. Maybe not tomorrow, but it's the kind of thing we can all work towards. Um, and I definitely thank everyone for their support. Thank everyone for coming out. I ask everyone, do not forget, all you got to do is come podnutz.com, send an email, join the Mattermost server, join the Discord server, join the IRC server. I try to be in the IRC server, or just subscribe on YouTube, and you'll know when I do these things live. And then you can participate. To the audio listener, the audio show will end now. Thank you for your support. I'll be right back. And not gonna lie, Charles, I was afraid I would like doing the 24-hour feed. I'm now tempted 2 or 3 times a year to do like a 12-hour feed. And I wouldn't mind talking to you about what is the better anime to watch. I'll be back. Hey, Charles, and I will say, if you are still watching, the did my keyboard stop working? I hate when that happens. Um, the print you asked me to do on the live stream ended up seemingly okay. Let me turn the keyboard off, turn the keyboard on, and that did the trick. Okay. Um, yeah, the print ended up, what I will say, okay. Let me see. I believe I'm at 111. Was that my IP? Yeah. Oh, well, that doesn't help when you type the password wrong. Let me see. Yeah, what I'll do, I'll go try to put the print on the print bed. Give me a second here, because that print failed. Yeah, there you go. There's the print. Hey, Aaron. Good to see you in there, man. Yeah, there's the print you asked me to do, like in the last half hour of the live 24-hour live stream, Charles. The micro SD wagon, if you will. It actually printed surprisingly well. Everything fitted together pretty well, but the design of the print made it to where if you pick up the bed of um the actual like card itself, everything else just like falls out. So it wasn't a great design, is what I'll say. It technically works, but it's not as good as some of the other prints that I've seen in the past. And Aaron, I'm gonna ping Liam because he said that the CR10 print that I tried to do turned out horrible. Partially because I couldn't fit the whole damn thing on the bed. Mm, here it is. CR10 Essential mod set. And here's why I suck. I always forget to look at the actual files. 'Cause when I then take a look at thing files, there's only two files. One of them is G code. What's the likelihood of their G code going to print perfect on my printer? Slim to none. And then if you take a look at the STL, it has everything as one piece. So if I open it up in Cura, I can't delete any one of the parts and just print one of the parts at a time. I got to print everything at one point in time, and everything is spread out across on the bed. And when I try to load the STL, it's too big. It won't print. And I know if I change the actual dimensions on it, then it won't fit right because it's a very, stringent set of numbers. So there's like a buffer on my bed where it won't print all the way to 300 by 300. So this STL file will not fit on my bed. So I got to find somebody else offering the knobs and the other pieces as like separate pieces and not one complete STL. So that's my bad. One thing I know is I'm anything but perfect. Well, I eat some cheese because I like cheese. Cheese is good. And like Aaron, I hate to say this. I hate complaining to Liam about stuff because it always ends up with, "Well, you're the dummy that didn't read it." And he's right. But the whole reason I shared what I shared was I was hoping he would read the damn thing, and he didn't. So I'm just gonna sit here 12:30 at night and drink some more beer and go to work and still do more work than anybody else at work. You know, because you'll have that. So let's see if we can find better CR10 stuff, which I'm pretty sure is going to take seconds. Yagi CR10 knobs, Badang. What do we got here? I'm gonna guess this one's a good one. Well, come on now. Why is it like a third of the links I click on Yagi seem to take like 3 minutes to resolve? S- Spring-loaded knobs for adjustable glass bed. Excuse me? Hmm. The hell is that? No, I can't separate into pieces. Not using Cura, there's no splitting the print up, which I guess is one of the bad things about Cura. I know. I need to buy Simplify. I know. I just right now don't have the 150 bucks. Yep, this is it. This is the one I think I need. And they again have all four knobs in one STL. How incompetent is that? Why can't you just give me one knob and let me reproduce it four times? Okay. Transition. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, see, when I'm in Cura, I don't see any way to split a print up. There might be a plugin. I will say I have learned in the last couple weeks, there's a great number of Cura plugins that I don't use that maybe I should use, but I don't know about them. So it's hard for me to use them when I don't know about them. So for right now, I'm just going to say clear build plate. Come in here, find this download, go to 3D, go to door. What was it called? That wasn't it. Okay. This is called CR105. So, badang, move, extract, open, bang, bang, bed leveling knobs, files. They offer the G code. That almost freaks me out. They offer the G code. Just give me the damn look at this. How incompetent is that? I mean, I'm incompetent. I know incompetent. I'm a government employee. That's incompetent. I mean, come on. So now I gotta believe they're the right size. I don't think there's any way if I right click it to say separate. Center, delete, multiple selection mode. Number of copies, cancel. Select all, arrange all, clear build. Yeah. When I right click, I don't see any way to separate out. Huh. Could be a me thing, Aaron. I'm not gonna lie. Could be a me thing. Um, layer height 1.0. I'm hooked on 1.0. It just makes everything nicer. I don't care how long it takes. Wall thickness 0.8, I think is correct. Infill, I'm leaving it 10. Let's go like this. Look at the preview. We're gonna get rid of the supports. We don't need any damn supports for this thing. Support, generate. No, stop supports. Yeah, I didn't see any separate on it. Let it finish. Okay. And then here's the other thing. I'm damn sure if I use Simplify 3D, it would go even slower on this computer. That's how confident I am on Simplify. Okay. Yeah, that looks good to me. Fill plate adhesion skirt. No supports. 200 temperature. I like 200. 200 just seems nice. Nice round number. Infill 10%. That should be plenty, I'm guessing. Fill gaps everywhere. Badang, badang. Shell 0.8. I'm pretty sure 0.8 was a good wall thickness. I hit prepare. This is what I always do. I always hit prepare, let it do its thing, and then go back to preview again. And why is it not showing me? Oh, because this. It always does this. Shell infill. There you go. I want to see the infill. I don't trust it. Yeah, that looks fine by me. The occasional bit of randomness. Shell. Okay, so now I do this just to be sure. Helpers. Yep, that's fine. Okay, I think we're good. Shell and infill looks good to me. 7 hours. Oh my goody, goody, goody. Okay. No. Just save file. Why does it do that? We're just going to call it CR10 105 bed leveling knobs. Go back here, go back to the Octoprint. Right now, hit the temperature up. Upload 3D. Sort by modified date. Okay, so it's saved it in a weird folder. I'm used to that. Bed leveling knobs. Nope, that wasn't it. So where did it save it? It did save it there. So we're going to go back to door. Badang. I will say, even though my Octoprint is on a really bad connection with my Raspberry Pi 3, very flaky connection, I'm still very satisfied with how Octoprint works. It's one of those things, if I didn't have everything I do would be 10 times more difficult. Load. So now it's got to wait for the temperature to come up and then I can start printing. Yeah. Be great if it could be done by the time I leave for work tomorrow, but I know that's not going to happen. And every time I ask my oldest son to go into the garage and take the print off the bed, he's always like, I don't understand how to do it. It's too difficult, Dad. I did see a really good TED talk tonight. 50 things, Aaron, if you didn't see it in the chat, 50 things you should have your kid do, like 9-volt battery to the tongue, because kids these days don't understand what it means to do that. If you ask a kid to do it these days, they believe they're going to die. They believe, I'm going to die from uh like electrocution because of a 9-volt battery. What I didn't know was the word electrocution didn't even exist before. I can't even remember the year now, but basically, Tesla, Edison, and the e e electric chair. The word electrocution came about because literally they put somebody in a chair and said, "Let's kill them with electricity." Electrocution, execution. The word came about because they were trying to describe what it would be to put someone to death with electricity. I had no idea. That's kind of crap that blows my mind. The TED Talk, I believe I put in the maker chat, Aaron. It was 50 things. Maybe I didn't. 50 things you should have your kid do. Oh, nope. You're right. I saved it to the other one. So I'll come here. I'll hit forward makers chat. It was a guy who basically wrote a book, and I'm really tempted to go buy this book. It's 50 things every kid should do. And it was almost banned in Australia because they thought it was trying to like kill kids, which of course they would think that because, who doesn't want to kill kids? Oh, wait. But it was literally like 9-volt battery to the tongue. Take baking soda and vinegar, put it in a plastic bag so your kids can make a bomb. Because now they've basically outlawed that in schools, American schools. You can't do the volcano experience with baking soda and vinegar where it creates the volcano. So he said, well then fine, let them do it at home, so they can understand chemistry, at least some basic thing of chemistry. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, let's see how good the bed is printed or heated. 192. Was it 1-1? How in the hell did I get that right? I shouldn't be able to get that right. So we're almost there at 54.5. I really like when I have the proper stuff connected, and right now it's like 70 plus degrees in my garage, so heating this stuff up is really good. I am going to actually do some upgrades here in the next 2 months, Aaron, on my printers. It's a question of what. Liam almost scared me off of the bed leveling. I'm not going to lie, because he said I would need to do some wiring, and that I'm not great with the wiring kind of thing. Okay, so I'm going to go out to the garage. Let's hit print, control. Okay, I'll be back. Okay. Let's see how this thing starts off. I will say I try. Oh, I think I'll be okay, Aaron. The logic is I bookmarked the page. If you take a look at the maker's spreadsheet, it said like the 10 best upgrades you can do for your CR10, and I tried to organize them to simplicity is what I'll say. And it was like number 3 is where you started to do soldering, but it looked like it was very easy soldering. So let's see. Yeah, see, I'm now like habitually hooked in. When I start a print, I lower the speed to 50% until the Z comes up like to point 0.3, and then I'm comfortable with pushing it up to 100%. But the first like layer, or the first bit, I'm always a little bit hesitant to put up to 100%. And it seems like when I put it down to 50%, I'm just seeing greater performance, and it's almost like when you had the NES cartridge and you blew in it, when you put it back in, it seemed to work. So I don't know if it's just not real because the NES thing wasn't real. Blowing in the cartridge didn't help at all. And I don't know if me putting it down to 50% actually helps at all, but it seems like it is helping me. And I am going to actually at least power on the soldering iron, Aaron, because I have to put the soldering iron up against the old hot end to heat it up to get the steel upgrade nozzle out of the old hot end without damaging it. And I will do that. For now, I just want to get a couple prints done just to get them done. Because like getting these knobs done and getting the hot end, uh, heated bed wire protection thing would just be a smart thing to do. Mm. And that upgraded print bed Liam linked to in our chat intrigued me. Intrigued me a hell of a lot, in fact, because this print bed to me, um, it's great. I mean, maybe once every 10 or 20 prints, I really should take it off and like clean it off. But for the most part, I don't have to do anything. All I got to do is just start at a slower speed, I think, and everything prints and it adheres to the bed unbelievably good, like really solid. And then that upgraded bed just seemed like it was even better. So I'm really tempted to look at getting that upgraded bed. I want to say it was total of like $30, which I'm very okay with spending. I got to donate some more money to Eric's GoFundMe account. I got to buy a multi-terabyte hard drive for my single board computer Plex Nextcloud enclosure. But then after that, spending $30 on a upgraded print bed shouldn't be a hard thing to do. Just seems like it just seems like this smart upgrade to do is what I'll say. Um, because doing the automatic bed leveling out of a 10, for me, that's like a 3 to do. It's something I can do, but I'm pretty sure the printer wouldn't be working for almost a week while I figure it out. Mm. And Aaron, I talked a little bit with Martin, not a lot. I don't care if this is live. Um, I talked with Martin a lot. Next year, I'm already dedicated. There's no better way I can put it. I'm already dedicated to try to do everything in my power to come out to Lennox Fest Northwest. Um, because I haven't seen Martin in I want to say almost 2.5 years. It's been way too long. Um, I saw Cody like 2 years ago, but I haven't seen Martin in a long time. Chuck either. So next year is going to be a priority for me to come out, and it looks like the print's laying really good so far. I don't trust it till the complete first layer is down. Like, Liam warned me about how addictive it is to just sit there and watch your printer, and I didn't believe him. It literally is addictive to sit there and watch the printer print because what we're doing is completely foreign to everything in human history. Human history was always you took like a block of wood or a block of marble and you whittled out pieces. It was negative space. You would cut out things. And with the 3D printer, you're literally starting with nothing and you're building up. It's the complete opposite of everything that we've done. Any kind of carving, any kind of sculpture, like any kind of building always started with the opposite. You would always build out, not start from nothing. So I think because of that, it's like intoxicating watching this basically thickened fisherman string be formed and shaped into concepts and designs that are like require a lot of thought and a lot of math. It's it's to me one of those things that's just crazy. Yeah, my goal is before like July or August to buy Simplify 3D. I know I gotta buy it. I'm not gonna try to lie and say I don't. I know I gotta buy it. I'm just trying to hold off as long as I possibly can. So I gotta buy it because I will tell you, Cura is doing at least like 70% of everything I needed to do. Yeah, I mean, everything's printing really good. The only thing and I have been told, there is a support plugin that you can put into Cura. So if you need only supports in certain areas, it can do it in air quotes. It always comes with caveats and explanations. So I've never installed it. Everything I needed to print with supports, I've just printed with supports. I've just taken the time to figure out what's the best one, cubic, triangular, or whatever, and then changing the numbers and examining the actual structure. I mean, and then just going with was like which one was not too much, which one fit the model correctly. So that's one of my beliefs is there is no perfect setting. There is no perfect numbers. Each time you load an STL, you have to tweak something unless you're doing like the exact same type of print over and over and over and over again. Um, Sometimes you need more overhang, sometimes you need a different infill, sometimes you need a different percentage of infill, sometimes you need supports everywhere, sometimes you only need supports on the build plate. It's a lot of things can be different. That's why I still don't understand how you can have Octoprint or something else set up in air quotes perfectly to where you just feed it an STL file and it comes out absolutely correctly. I mean, maybe if I had a Prusa, it would make sense, but I don't got a damn Prusa. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm tempted to start to play a game. Yeah, we'll say the GPD running Android and the Chromebook running Android. I did get figured out using the HDMI input thing. I was shocked when I got it figured out correctly how good everything worked. At least in Android, whether it be the GPD or the Chromebook, how I could basically load a game and stream it, and it came across really good. in the, stream. So I'm tempted to be really cheap and try to, like, challenge people to, like, tell me a game and tell me a score and see if I can beat it. Because I'm kind of like a nerd. I've played I remember beating Super Mario Brothers first day I had it, and Super Mario World first day I had it. Uh, I played certain games obsessively. Yeah, this print's looking really good so far. I'm really impressed. It just seems to me the closer it is to the center of the bed, the more consistent my print has been. Whenever I go out towards the corners is when stuff just goes crazy. And I still think watching prints print is like a drug. It's one of those things you just can't stop printing. You just can't stop watching, even though, you're seeing how the sausage is being made. And I did have a coworker try to complain to me about my, you know, n nicotine tool, if you will. And I said to him, the, British Nexus is what it's called. That's their National Institute of Health. And the Finnish government stated, uh, the above the sub-ohm things of these do put particulates in the atmosphere which are not safe for human consumption. But what I use is the above ohm version of them. It's about as safe as boiling coffee or um, cooking something in oil on your stove. So I said to her, if you don't like this, then you might, then I guess you think cooking is unsafe. She didn't like me very much. I told her to file a complaint, then I gave her a link to an official, state resource to where she could complain to. But it's still not against, Maryland state policy, at least not yet. When it is, I don't know what I'll switch to, but I'll switch to something else. I love watching these prints. As soon as it's done the next wheel, it's on the 3rd out of 4th wheel. As soon as it's done the 4th wheel and it's moved up in the X, I'll turn the speed up. Even though it still says 7.5 hours left, that's not right. At this speed, it's over 14 hours left on the print. I have to believe that. Okay, where can I get the X measurement? G code viewer? No. Terminal? No. Maybe it is G code viewer. Oh, it's called it's a print of over 25 megs. Yes. Turn it on. Break this stuff. Setter, yes. Zoom, yes. Show moves, I guess not. Show retracts, I don't care. Show approximate print head position. Yep. Reload. So let's see where it says. Thinking about it. It still says Z is at point 0.1, up point 0.3, which is fine. So once it goes above point 0.3 is when I'll go and I'll spit it up to 100%. I'm always shocked how well Octoprint works, considering it's working on such low-end hardware. Still looking good. Yeah. I gotta start printing the, oh man, I can't remember what it's called now. When you're taking the picture and you put it in on the curved surface. Oh man, lithophane. I have to start the lithophane soon too for run jump stop. I told him I would try to get that done for him because I think he does really good stuff. Talks about Nintendo Switch in a very fair way. When a game sucks, he has no problem saying that the game sucks, which seems to be hard for people to do, is what I'll say. So I want to do a lithophane of his logo at least once for him and then send it to him. Because, got to send stuff to people. Nudge, nudge. Oh, starting on the fourth wheel. Looking good. Actually, it looks really good from here. Once it's almost done, the fourth wheel, I'll go in and turn the speed up. These are the kind of I'm such an amateur. These are the kind of upgrades I should have done at least 12 months ago, but I didn't. So I said, I don't need them. I can shortcut them. Okay. Looks like I'm almost 20% done that layer. Everything looks really good too. Let's see how many podcasts I've fallen behind. Oh my lord. In the last like hour, I'm already behind like 4 podcasts. MRP, Global News Hour, Security Now, all about Android, which sucks, and FT News Brief, which I will say is surprisingly informative. It's biased, but it's biased towards money, so at least I know what it's biased towards. But MRP has Ubuntu 1904 review. I will say a great number of people I've listened to have spoken unbelievably highly of 1904 and how great it runs. Um, I'm a long-term support fella, so I'm never gonna run it. So I have to take their word on it. Uh, the next long-term release version isn't, I think, for another year. So I'll check it out when that comes out. But I hope they just keep fixing it in the right way. Looks like it's almost halfway done that fourth wheel. Yeah, it's about halfway done. Looking good. It seems like if the first layer goes down on this printer, the rest goes fine. And if you notice, I still don't have the protective temperature uh box around the printer. I got like 9 months to do it, so I think I'm still good. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Yep, it looks like it's almost 80% of the way done at level point 0.3, I believe still. Let me see. Yeah, still at point 0.3. Yep, going up to point 0.4. Okay, I'm gonna go in there and turn the speed up. I think it's looking damn good, in fact. And because I pushed it up now to 100%, it should be done. Uh, Crap. I'm still going to be gone to work and it's still printing. That's okay. At least now I'll have the actual knobs because I will say, doing my bed leveling, my logic is with bigger knobs like that, it'll be much easier to do a quarter turn or a half a turn where using the smaller knobs, it was much easier to be inaccurate, is my logic. So, Aaron, I'll ask you, how's everything going, man? And are you at work watching this stream? And how the hell are you able to work and watch a live stream? I mean, I'm a government employee and I have a hard time doing such a thing. And how didn't you just have a archery tournament like last week? I really hope that went good for you, man. Good for you and your kids. I wish I could get my kids to do any damn thing except for watch Fortnite videos. And my oldest son admitted to me he liked playing Roblox because he could troll 9-year-olds and annoy them. And, it's good for anybody to have a purpose in life, but trolling younger kids on Roblox shouldn't be one of them. I don't know. I've been wrong about a lot of things in life, but I don't think that's one of them. I am shocked at how fast this thing prints at 100%. I'm shocked that other people are able to turn it up to 200% and still have accurate printings coming out of this. And yet, with that said, I'm still shocked at how long some of these prints take. Some of them take what seemed to be a crazy amount of time, like literally 36 or 72 plus hours. Watched a good video where people were talking about the stranger danger of 3D printed guns because, stranger danger is not a real thing. And now 3D printed guns, it still required a lot more than just downloading and click print to have anything that would be even remotely usable, much less usable for just a single bullet. And the bullets are made out of metal. So, in typical politician fashion, they were over exaggerating what was the actual possibility of what could have happened. But it was an educational video nonetheless. I don't know if I should be sad or happy that more people are listening versus when I actually did the show. Maybe I need to give more of a notification? I don't know. Maybe I should do a notification of a show going live, go live, and then wait a half an hour before doing the show? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I have no idea. I have literally no idea what to do to create more interactions. Because the one thing that I will say every show is lacking is amount of interactions. Starting to think that's it. And it's already halfway done this layer. Yeah, it says total print time 7.5 hours. All right, guys, I want to turn this stream off. I really do thank everyone for coming out. Never hesitate to contact me in any shape, way, or form and tell me what you think is the best way for me to do anything, whatever. Input is always welcome. Charles, thank you for coming out. Aaron, thank you for coming out. Uh, thank you guys for downloading. Thank you guys for your support. I'll definitely talk to you guys soon.